Welcome. Welcome to the Age of Organizational Effectiveness. This is the podcast that explores stories about organizations and their performance. I'm your host, Charles Chandler. Today, we're at episode number 129, and I'm calling it Landscape Leaders. We're going to have a chance to explore the question of what it takes to manage landscape services on a college campus. And I'm pleased to announce that I'm going to be joined by a special guest. So let's get started. And I'm now joined by Jeff McManus, who joins us via Skype from Oxford, Mississippi. Jeff is the Director of Landscape Services at the University of Mississippi, or Ole Miss, as it's often referred to. How are you doing today, Jeff?
Charles, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's excellent to have you with us. We're going to explore a little bit about your new book, Growing Weeders into Leaders, Leadership Lessons from the Ground Level. And that's an interesting title. I read the book. It's a great little book. I really loved it. Tell me, why did you want to write this book?
Well, Charles, thank you for reading it and your kind words. My passion is to share and to develop purpose for those leaders, those who are owning businesses, who are wanting to make a life of significance. You know, you start looking at life and being successful, but you also want to be significant and leaving a legacy. And so that was a big part of that is the way we were able to turn things around here and create some momentum, not only on things that you could see outdoors and in the press, but more of what we were doing with our team members, seeing our team members' lives change, coming to us and telling us their marriages were saved, telling us about new job opportunities that they could now qualify for because of the training and the growth that they had experienced with our growing plan and our development plan. And so I just felt like it was a message of encouragement that would help others, that would encourage others who sometimes we get frustrated, or we might just be looking for seeing how other people are doing it and just giving people some hope and some ideas.
That sounds great. Let's go back to the beginning, though, to the year 2000, I believe, when you joined the Landscape Service Division there. What was the situation at the time when you arrived, and why was it necessary to grow weeders into leaders?
Well, I was very fortunate to come into a situation that was pretty bad. And I say fortunate because there was really nowhere to go but up. The crew, the morale was pretty low. People did not really have good direction on what to do. The standards were non-existent, and everybody was just trying to do whatever they needed to do to survive and not get fired. So you had a lot of finger pointing. It's not my job. And I needed to build a team that would have passion and want to build award-winning results. So I started listening. You know, I started talking to my team members and just listening, going with them out in the field, finding out what their troubles were, just learning the property, taking inventory, and getting to know people. And in the process, as we were working through, we kept running into different barriers of things that would keep us from doing jobs. And my job at that point became a barrier breaker. And so I really worked to break barriers at that point in the early stage and build trust. And I needed to get that team, a highly motivated team, because I knew we had a big task ahead of us.
Yeah. Well, I think in the book you mentioned it was a sort of a toxic environment spiraling downward when you arrived. What do you think that was the result of? In other words, how did that come about? Was it command and control gone awry, or what was it? A culture that was not really working?
Well, as John Maxwell always says, everything rises and falls based on leadership. And at the time, there was really not good, clear leadership in the direction that the team needed to go. And what leadership there was, it was the old style command and control where you just do what I tell you and don't ask any questions. And unfortunately, I still see that today in some areas, but that was the biggest problem, is that people just didn't trust the current leadership that we were projecting from our role, from my management role. And I had to break down those barriers to build that trust.
Yeah, command and control is certainly still with us. It's losing its force and impact, I think, and it's becoming a problem in a lot of situations. But tell us a little bit about the scope of your mandate on the campus and off the campus even. I think you have management authority over the airport and the golf course as well. But as you came in, how did your current role evolve?
We were getting a little bit of private money to the university for one-time beautification projects. We had a great donor, Larry Martindale, who was him and his wife were providing funds to the university to help beautify the campus with landscaping. And as they planted the plants, Larry came back 6 months later and literally saw his investment dying. And that's what triggered a lot of red flags, is that he was spending money to help create this beautiful campus, and yet all the plants were dying. So that got the ball spinning and seeing where we needed to get some help. So I was brought in, applied for the job, and was hired. And we just had to start looking for people who wanted to get on board and help build this award-winning property. We did it. We had 31 people, and we actually lost about 7 people. And so we were down to 24, and we never rehired those people back, because what we found is we became extremely efficient as we started changing our processes. So, for example, it used to take us 10 days to mow the grass. We got that down to 5 days by just changing the way we did things. We put the campus into zones, and then we started moving all the objects that were in the turf areas, like picnic tables, trash cans, anything that we could move into the mulch areas, we did. And we created sweeping bed lines so that our mowers never had to back up. And this really helped us tremendously, decrease the amount of time it took to mow. And then we also started taking care of the weed issues that we had in the turf. And before long, we got it down to 4 days. And today we're mowing it in 3.5 days, because we've gotten some new equipment in and able to do it much more efficient. So we had to build that trust. It took 2 years before we really got that, some new money that we could actually start hiring people back in again and start doing some of those things. And as we were showing that we were more efficient, more productive with our team, we had some challenges over at the airport. I knew nothing about airports. And so they asked me if I would take a look at the processes over there. And we did. We had some challenges with an outside contractor, and we brought it in-house and changed the processes. And we changed the people, and we created an incredible product over there. So we have the second busiest airport in the state now. And same happened with our golf course as well. We turned it into an operation that's now in the black, and one of the best golf courses in the state of Mississippi as far as public courses. So it's all about the people, getting them on board, getting them to buy in, making sure the processes are organized and efficient. And, of course, you got to create that incredible wow product in whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, the technology that's involved here, I guess you would call it landscape architecture plus horticulture, at least on the growing side for the plants. But then you have, of course, all the management skills that any organization would need to have. How has all that played out over your tenure there?
I spent a lot of time initially focusing on the plants and focusing on just that science of making sure we grow great plants and teaching folks our whole aspect of how to do their job and teaching them the skills. And I often refer to that as the part where your hands and your brain, where you're thinking about these things. But it was when I changed my thinking and started growing something different besides plants. I started growing the culture, really focused on growing the culture of our people. That's when we really changed and went to a whole new level of success and significance among our team. We began to have leader-to-leader meetings where we developed our core values and began to really get into the deeper part of what it was that we believed in here and what it was that we want to be known for when we work here. And so getting our team into that process and talking about these things was just an incredible eye-opener. And it took several months, if not years, to really continue to talk about these things consistently, that we developed a landscape creed that we say every week in our meetings, and just developed on who we are and what we want to do and what we want to be known for, much like a head basketball coach might do for a basketball team. John Wooden, for example, would do for his team. You know, we were looking at championship programs and seeing how they were developing it, and that's what we emulated a lot of what we do today.
Yeah. I think when you joined, the chancellor said he wanted a 5-star campus, and you came from the private sector where 5 stars meant something, certainly in the hotel and other properties there. But you had to redefine that as you got onto the campus, and I think I hear you saying that that's the process you were working through. Is what is 5 stars? What does it mean to you? What does it mean in this situation? And what are your people going to buy into?
That's right. You're right. I mean, I was talking 5-star, and I was talking about let's make this thing look like Disney, because I was from Florida. I had been in Florida for so many years, and I realized that most of our staff did not know what that meant. And so I had to make sure that we started taking our people to different properties and showing them, making sure they knew what top of the line properties look like, and making sure we were all on the same page of what quality we wanted to get to.
How did the role of training play a part in this? I know in the book you talk about working smarter rather than harder, and certainly you sent your people off for some training, and you received some training yourself. Tell us a little bit about how all that played out.
Well, if you're not growing, you're dying. And so we look at training as growth. We're always either training someone or we're being trained. And that's just part of our culture. And we really solidified that when we developed a course for our own internal program called Landscape University, where we actually develop the classes and we take our staff through these classes so that we're in alignment on what it is of our quality, our standards, and the expectations of what we're doing on the campus. It has been a game changer having Landscape University on our campus. So we just always want to be in this constant state. Even in our meetings that we have every Monday, we'll bring some plant cuttings from outside and pass those around to all of our team members, because we want everybody to know the names of those plants. And so we're doing a different plant every week. I don't teach those anymore. It used to be that I taught all the classes or I taught all the plant IDs, but now I want our staff to teach them so that they can learn the plant names. And, you know, the teacher always learns more than the pupil. So that's where weeders into leaders, where everybody is a leader. Everybody's mindset is they lead at least one person, and that's themselves.
Yeah, I remember the Army had a slogan, Army of One, at one point.
That's right.
The idea that every person is a leader and should take those measures.
That's right.
If you were moving from command and control, which is what was in place at the beginning, it sounds like you're essentially moving toward decentralized teams where they're empowered to not only take the actions that are needed, but to have the skills and the training and everything to know what those actions are. In other words, they become leaders themselves, and they know what needs to be done, and they just do it.
That's right. I mean, our staff has even defined it even more, Charles. They say if it's a $20 decision, for example, if it's a plant that's in the field and it's dead, it's less than $20, a 3-gallon plant. You know, they have the authority to take that plant up or do whatever they need to. And they have different ways that they categorize it. If it's a $100 decision, you can do it, and those kind of things. But we always try to empower our staff as much as we can we push that out to our teams for them to be the leaders, because the worst thing you can have is somebody going, well, you didn't tell me to do that. Well, that's not my job. And you want people to be bought in to own this property, have this passion of, we want to be the best. We're not just here for a little paycheck and a pension. By golly, we're here because we love this and we serve at a greater purpose. And that's when people start having that, well, okay, I can remove this plant. They've given me the authority to do this, and I can trim this because they've trained me and they've shown me how to do this, and I can do these things without having to be told. That's been the game changer for us.
Yeah. So you've got mundane tasks, certainly like mowing and trimming and weeding and all that. But I think I hear you saying that you want to think about those in a different way, so that you're actually using your creativity, using your purpose, building up your purpose in a way that empowers the team and the individuals on the team.
That's right. And you got to answer, Charles, you got to answer why we're here. I mean, why are we here? And, we serve at the pleasure of the university. We're here to help recruit great students, great faculty, great staff to come to this great university. And we know that those people who are coming here to learn, to grow, and to go on and do great things. I mean, we have alumni who are in the space program, who've been a part of running that, who have helped create some cures for some incredible things in the medical world. And, the list goes on and on. So it's a high compliment to know that you've helped recruit these kids. And you may, in a small way, had a small part in some of their success. And we know that because the studies show that 62% of prospective college students are going to decide if they come to your university based on the way it looks. And so our staff empowered to know their why you're here. You're here to help be a part of somebody's greatness, to help cultivate that greatness. And so that really helps that bigger picture of understanding why we're so passionate about what we do.
Certainly organizations have different benefits that they're trying to interchange with their environment. And I was sort of diagramming out before we got started here what it might look like in your case. Within your organization, essentially you have your staff and you have your 1,000 acres that you're charged with keeping beautiful. You have the equipment that you use to do all these things. But then outside what you're serving, as you say, is an environment where we have students, faculty, visitors, and they are receiving benefits from all of this. Not only you're getting paid to do this work, but you're delivering economic benefits to the campus. You're delivering social and psychological benefits to these folks like students and faculty, and even spiritual and environmental benefits, if you think in a broader term, attracting them to the campus and enabling them to do their great things. So what I like to do is diagram all of these things out. And in terms of, I always say effectiveness is about converting supply-side intention into demand-side behavior. And so you have a number of things you're intending to do. And the question is, what are you expecting to happen? What are the outcomes? What are the behaviors that would mean success for you? We could perhaps get into that a little bit, but what would be your response to that?
You're absolutely right, because everybody comes in with different expectations. When you first come into a job, you're very open to what it is that the new employer needs and needs from you. So one of the things we try to do is the very first day is deal with those expectations and start sharing those and training those by using our process called Landscape University. And we'll start taking them step by step through the classes. Before we had Landscape University, It was just a matter of go be with Charlie here out in the field, and we hope you learn what it is we're doing, and then we'll also train you in some of the meetings as well. But now we've much more organized in making sure that process works, those expectations of what it is. They take a quiz on that, and then they're empowered. Because if somebody else on the crew says, well, this is the way we do it, they know they've already gone through the class and go, well, no, we know what the real standards are because we're trained and we're in-house certified. So it's very empowering for our new employees to learn those standards right away and to be able to carry those through. But that helps reduce any negative tension on what is expected because you start talking right away on what it means to be a great employee. What does it mean? What are the expectations as far as where you're going to be working and who you're working with? And then we put them with a mentor as well now. We assign them an official mentor who talks to them, shows them different things as well. So it's a lot of hands-on out in the field.
Yeah, and I know that you've received a number of national awards, being judged most beautiful campus in a couple of areas. And all of this speaks very highly to your process. How have those awards made a difference in the way you think about your job?
Well, we try to use the awards as a reminder of the external awards as far as being named one of the elite, one of the top campuses in America. When we first started this journey, we were considered one of the worst, and we were considered last place. And then we've taken all of us ordinary, average people, and we've created a national championship in our landscaping. So we use that and remind them. We make that a big deal. We put banners up in our truck shed, just like you would see in a coliseum hanging down. We've got those in our truck shed that remind them of their 5 national championships. We always try to bring in special speakers who will also help remind them of how important they are. You see, people want to know that they're important, and they want to know what they're doing is important, and they want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So that's all just ties together of those awards validate what we're saying, that you guys are truly doing a great job and you're recognized as one of the nation's best.
It sounds like a very empowering environment. I'm guessing you have very low turnover of your long-term staff.
It's funny, in this world, you're going to run anywhere between 5 and 15%, depending on what the local market's doing. But we're so proud of the folks who do leave because usually they're stepping up. And we're excited for them on that. A lot of times we're the entry level for the campus. We've had numerous guys who've transferred into other areas. They like to take our folks because they know they're good workers and they're excited about what they do. So we view that as a compliment on their journey. We encourage them, if they are seeking other employment, to let us know, because we want to help and encourage them in any way we can. And that's been amazing to see how that's helped reduce the tension in the workforce, because guys will come up and tell us, hey, I'm working here, but I'm just letting you know I'm also looking for other opportunities. And we applaud that, because then it gives us a heads up on what's going to be coming for us as well.
Certainly, you always want to be able to get your job done, but it's good to see your employees be able to step up as they learn and grow over time.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we're about to the end of our time here, but what would you like to leave our listeners with in terms of things we haven't talked about that might also feed into the book and what your hopes and goal is in the book itself?
Well, Charles, I would love to give your listeners my 5 key leadership principles to grow leaders in your organization. These are the key 5 that I use all the time, and I'll give those to your listeners for free. And I have those already ready on jeffmcmanusspeaking.com/organizational. And if they want to download those for free. I'd love to give that as a free gift to your listeners.
Okay, that's great. We'll put a link to that on our show notes, as well as a link to the book out on Amazon. It's been a great pleasure having you with us today, Jeff.
Well, Charles, thank you for having me, and thanks for what you're doing. We need to hear great programs like this. So thank you for being proactive and being a thought leader.
Well, thanks, Jeff, and we hope to have you back sometime in the future, and we'll talk about something else you're into.
Sounds good. Take care.
Okay. And that's about it for today. Join us next time when we'll again explore stories about organizations and their performance. In the meantime, you can access all of our podcasts at our website, ageofoe.com. And let me just mention before we go, my book, Become Truly Great, Serve the Common Good Through Management by Positive Organizational Effectiveness, is still available on Amazon. In fact, the price has been lowered, and it's now for $9.95 on the Kindle edition. So go out there and take a look, download it, and you can explore all the things we've been talking about here on the podcast in the book. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.